So one day everybody approaches Brahma, who is one of the Trimurti. We have Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So everybody approaches Lord Brahma and says that uh, the ethical value of the society has come down. It looks like everybody is sad. So what to do? So the what is an education that can be imparted to the society so that there is lot more happiness, the spirit goes up, the values and virtues go up. Well, what did Brahma do? From the four Vedas, he took the literary content from the Rig Veda. He took the music and the song from the Sama Veda. Then the Abhinaya, the histrionics, the mimetic art from Yajurveda. And the sentiments from Atharva Veda. So he put everything, from each he derived this and then created the Natya Veda. Now this Natya Veda was not only for pleasure. It was, it was actually like a source of counsel for the whole humanity.
So, hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. And the guest for today is someone who is a very inspiring Bharatanatyam artist. Now, she has performed not only in India but across the world. You name the countries, US, UK, even in continents like Europe and Canada. She's not only an artist but an acharya as well. With that, I would like to welcome Pavithra ma'am on the show. Thank you for coming here, ma'am.
Namaste, Arunji. It's a pleasure for me to meet you on the screen and when with you whatever I know and like to.
I think, ma'am, for the best part about doing this podcast, and this is something that is very repetitive for me, is researching about something. So for this podcast, when I was trying to do my part, I came to know that maybe for for uh for Bharatanatyam to be equated with dance, it's not right because dance is an English word, and maybe Natyam reflects something else. So is it correct to say that Bharatanatyam is a dance or not? What does Natyam signifies exactly?
Very nice question. Dance is like regular movement, right? It can be jazz, it can be hip hop, it can be a folk, it can be contemporary, it can be salsa. All that comes under dance. Natya has a very, very deeper significance because in our culture, the dance itself is derived from the Supreme. So that's why we call it Natya.
So it's due to its the origins of the science, if I can say that Bharatanatyam is both in science and an art with the way it's performed. So where are the origins of Bharatanatyam exactly? Do we find them in our scriptures, or how is it evolved over time?
Okay. So our whole learning and our way of living, our civilization is based on the Vedas. Because Vedas means what? Knowledge. It has knowledge about life. It is not something beyond our mind or beyond us. It's something that pertains to each one of us. And Vedas are anadi. That means it is beginningless. It means it was always there. It was there, it is there, and it will always be there. It is anadi. So the four Vedas, which is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda, are not something that everyone can read or understand. Because it requires a lot of, depends upon the comprehension level of the people. At the same time, Vedas are very compassionate. They always mean well for all. They mean their intent is that every person, the humanity must be happy. So it gives you the way of how to have that happiness. So what happens? One day everybody approaches Brahma, who is one of the Trimurti. We have Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So everybody approaches Lord Brahma and says that uh, the ethical value of the society has come down. It looks like everybody is sad. So what to do? So the what is an education that can be imparted to the society so that there is lot more happiness, the spirit goes up, the values and virtues go up. So what did Brahma do? From the four Vedas, he took the literary content from the Big Veda. He took the music and the song from the Sama Veda. Then the Abhinaya, the histrionics, the mimetic art from Yajurveda, and the sentiments from Atharva Veda. So he put everything, from each he derived this and then created the Natya Veda. Now this Natya Veda was not only for pleasure. It was, well, it was actually like a source of counsel for the whole humanity, which means that if a person is grieved or weary or unhappy, when he or she learns this Natya Veda, it bestows long life, it bestows good reason, it bestows fortune and fame. And through Natya Veda, many things can be learned. See, after all, when does one really dance and you're happy?
Joyous, yes.
When suppose somebody comes and says, "Hey, Arun, your podcast has now 9 million followers."
That would be great.
Yay! Right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
this is a dance. This is a movement. Or you say, "Really, wow!" So that is an expression of happiness. Or if your friends are close by, you would either give a high five or a shake hands or an embrace. All that are movements. So you are actually not separate from any other dancer. We are all dancers actually, because our emotions, our movements, our thoughts is all what is the basis of the Natya Veda. Only thing is, dancers have a different costume. Their movements are little more stylized and structured. Then they have certain songs that they go to make it to bring a shape and a form to it. So actually, we are all dancers.
That's actually a very beautiful way of describing it. And I was also trying to read about Bharatanatyam before this podcast. And what I got to know is I got a very beautiful explanation that to remember things, it's very important to associate them with emotions. And as now you were telling that, through this Natyam, what we are really doing is to convey those ethical standards through the dance. And I mean, the dancer just becomes a medium of expressing those joyous moments, that universal joyousness through songs and that. So I never could have thought that maybe, through Natyam or through dance, if I could use that word, that we can convey such complex human emotions and complex philosophy itself. Do you feel that even through Bharatanatyam we convey the philosophies behind our great texts?
Yes. See, philosophy, when you say immediately philosophy, dance, music is all philosophical, immediately sometimes. Generally, what happens is people just, they think, oh, must be बहुत कष्ट होगा.
Heavy.
It's
Yes.
also believe and maybe it's not that enjoyable. Then that's why they go to this disco dance or Bollywood. Now, let me give you just three differences between a dance of enjoyment and a natya for enlightenment. Okay. If you go to a theater and watch a Bollywood movie, we might this was a song, right? Ye chammak challo, or this chori ke pooche kya hai. All this, maybe at that time, the rhythm, the beat of it, and the visual effect of it, all that might look as though, okay, I'm able to forget what my current state, and I'm able to have fun, and then the people also move a little bit. But what is the takeaway from it? Number one, it doesn't lead to any spiritual uh, thought. It leads only to sensuous thought. Second, it doesn't transform one's mind or thinking to a better state. Third, it will not give peace. It just gives a temporary excitement. But the peace comes a lot with one's way of thinking, cognitive change and understanding, and connection the to Bhagavan. So the whole Natya is connecting to the source, connecting to Bhagavan, connecting to the Creator, connecting to the Almighty, connecting to the Supreme. So you're constantly in connection. That means you're constantly relating. Only when you keep relating, there is a relationship. So you develop a relationship with Bhagavan because at the core of us, we are all devotees. At the core, actually, we are all religious people. That word religious actually is a beautiful word in our Hindu culture because it is only in our religion that we transcend religion after some time and we go to a spiritual realm. Religion is only a means for us. It's not the end.
And towards the means towards a union, maybe with the divine.
Paramatma, with the divine. So at the core, we are devotee. We always seek the divine because that is our nature. Why do we seek? Because at the core, that is our nature. Joy is our nature. Limitlessness, free from sadness is our real nature. We all are seeking that. And this makes us get in touch with the ultimate.
Wow.
And so it might look for people who want to learn. It is not only dance, even music, classical dance form, our literature, our all traditional performing arts. Initially, it might look as though ये तो बहुत काम करना पड़ेगा. Once you start doing and you learn what it really stands for, the intent, it's very enjoyable. In fact, then you won't feel like seeing the other dances because you will know it is so
Shallow, maybe.
There's nothing. See how it.
I totally believe. I'm so sorry that I interrupted you because when you say this, I could feel that in our language. I mean, the millennials, maybe we use this word vibes. That is for energy. So the vibes that are, when you describe even these dances, that the kind of energy that you feel when you perform Bharatanatyam, and even while you're describing it, it's so soothing in a sense for me, sitting, I don't know, thousands of miles across a screen, but it still feels so good to listen to. And ma'am, one more thing, I would be very honest with you. You perfectly described the emotional state that one feels after one comes out of a place like a disc or something. So I've been lucky. I have been there a few times. Lately, I haven't gone for there for like 2-3 years, but I have been there. And that's very true that when you come out of those lights and, that music, and then you come out, even when you're on the stairs of that disc or whatever it is, then also you start to feel that, this thing was very temporal, very temporary in a sense. So that is perfectly what you describe was exactly the way it feels when you come out of a disc. Okay, yahi tha bas. That was very temporary. So indeed, ma'am. Ma'am, how did you get into this this great art of ours?
When I was in school, until my primary education, I studied in Delhi. So when I was a little girl, I was around, and my teachers used to, they used to pinch my cheeks and say, "What sweet laddu hai," like that, in a very affectionate way. So whenever there was this annual function, they put me in the front. They will say, "You just stand there," and automatically I do some movements. Perhaps they liked it and they thought that I did well. So next year also I'd get the chance. So I think this aptitude for rhythm, for movements, um, was, was something that was natural in me. And when I came to Chennai to do my secondary, from my fifth standard to my 12th, and then later to my master's degree, that's when I started learning Bharatanatyam formally. So even in my school, during anniversary functions, my principal and teachers will give me roles that are little significant. So then they will tell my parents, she's able to get it well, so why don't you put her in a formal education? So my school, which is very well known in Chennai, called Padma Sheshadri School, encouraged me. Then the teacher in the school. So my principal was Srimati Vaiji Parthasarathy, who was herself a very iconic person in the field of education and culture. Then my first teacher in school, we had that as one of our class periods. So she will say, after the class, we used to go and learn. So she used to, her name is Srimati Gayatri Sundaram. She said, told my parents, you join her in a formal training school. So I started in my team when I was in 8th standard, formally from Srimati Arvind, Srimati Vasanta, and Sri Aravind. So I did my debut performance with them, under them, and then various other teachers. My latest acharyas were Padma Bhushan and who are world renowned. I also started doing solo creations on my own. Like I started Panchatantra and Sundarakandam. I got to meet a great Vedanta teacher and a scholar, Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji of Ashramadya Guru. I met Swamiji in the US, and as soon as he saw me, he said, "You are your name. We would like you to be with us, come to be a Gurukula Mahapuri, teach the children, and be with us." So that was a very treasured phase of life for me, because I met lot of Mahatmas, so learned, who used to constantly teach the Bhagwat Geeta and other Upanishads. When with the children I had access to, so I used to tell them stories from our Itihasas, Ramayana, Bharata. And then my Natya helped me, because Natya is very interesting, number one, because of the emotion, secondly, the gestures, then, and then the geometrical movements, symmetrical movements, which makes it very aesthetic and beautiful. Once, even in our life, once we are used to, say, a clean place, we are used to being with good people, we will not settle down to anything lesser than that, right? So when we meet great Mahatmas who teach the secret of living, who teach the great scriptures, and the environment is such that we keep growing as person. We touch various levels of inner growth, which gives us a lot of inner freedom because slowly the confusion goes away. Then we are able to meet the outside world, the demands of the outside world, we are able, the transactions of the outside world in a much mature way.
Wow, that was that was really great act. It's like you set your own standards of living when you know a certain way of living, and when you know that maybe there's a more peaceful way of living, a more aesthetic way of living, then yes, it's, I think it's in most spheres of life that then it becomes very difficult to go down a level. uh, it's very true, ma'am. When we talk about natyam, uh, can you just give an example of a natyam that of a story or something that is described through this natyam? I mean, which is your favorite natyam, if I'm understanding it correctly, that there are various acts through which maybe ethical lessons or stories are conveyed. If I'm correct on that, then what is your favorite natyam, ma'am?
Although I am a practitioner of Bharatanatyam, I love watching all other forms also. Odissi, Kathakali, Kathak, Chow, Manipuri, Mohiniyattam. All of these classical dance forms have their own beauty and depth. So it's very beautiful to see the various colors in the canvas of Natya. So I enjoy seeing other classical forms also. Even some, songs from the movies I like, the good old movies, right? Like Guide was one of my favorite movie. Then in the South, we had actresses like Srimati Vaijayati Manabali,
Yeah,
Padmini,
heard about.
Geeta and Ragini. They were Travancore sisters. So they used to do Bharatanatyam in the for the film music very beautiful. In fact, I think during that time, if one is not trained in classical form, they cannot do it. They cannot dance to the songs in the music. It was very beautiful. After that, only it got diluted and adulterated.
I get your part. I get your part. I mean, but lately I have realized that maybe it's a change in the consciousness that many people are now getting curious to know about our own culture, the way that we have been living in this great land of ours for centuries. I feel that there's a renewed interest in all these sciences right now.
Because HR, every person is needs the best by nature. By nature, there is divinity in everybody.
So,
So once they see what is very shallow and what is just on the surface, and they know that no, there is this is not the solution. The 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 goodness in them, the divinity in them, will always make them go towards what is the real truth, and it will make them go through the medium for it also. It's like reading. You get hold of a fantastic book that is so elevating. You don't want to read any other literature which doesn't seem to measure up to that.
true, ma'am. I just get it. I mean, the core of it, according to what I've understood, is when you as they say in old literature, when you taste that nectar, then the other things, they don't seem that interesting as such when you are at that particular level. Now,
And talking of nectar, the first dance drama, the Natya, the dance drama that was choreographed and presented. It was on the Kurmavatar,
oh,
where the Devas and Dashiras will churn mountains, and then the fight of nectar. That was the first dance production that was done. And even today, see, it had such an influence in Bharat and also in South Asian countries that even today you will see that Samudra Manthan statue in Bangkok, Swarnambhumi Airport.
Oh,
And also in Angkor Wat Temple, you see the carvings of the Samudra Manthan story on the walls of the Angkor Wat Temple.
I now actually I was getting this thought continuously. I was not able to say this, but I'm imagining that someone like a common man like me who is busy in his life about earning bread and all that, e- even in ancient times and as it is now, and then maybe I for myself can speak. I don't possess that kind of intellectual sophistication to understand those deep texts. So how can those values, those concepts for the right way of living be conveyed to a person, either through stories or through through a natyam, through so that they become very attractive for a common man as well.
So why was Samudra Manthan the first Natya to be produced? Because there is a story in it. We all need stories. You need stories, I need stories because we are all seeking for what is the best. And stories elevate us. See, talking to a very enlightened person, talking to a very good person, talking to a very intelligent person, talking to a mature person also will rub that on us, right? So
Definitely.
stories helps a person evolve. And Natya, the basis for Natya is presenting that stories in a very aesthetic, sophisticated, refined, happy, and impactful way. See, how can one make the learning easy? By really taking some time to understand what is being told. Then you really see, yes, it's not that difficult or not that boring. In fact, it will draw you. When you see a child, you will say, oh, it's a small child. You all say that, ha, chota sa, ek chota sa papa tha. You all do this.
Right, right.
Chota. So, little baby. So, Krishna, as a little child, was being searched by his mother, Yashoda. This is a pot. Those day things to carry pot of butter and milk. So Yashoda was searching for in this little child, Krishna. So how did we present Krishna? Because he plays for flute. Then who plays the veena?
Saraswati Mata.
Goddesses.
Yeah.
Vishnu has the Shankar and Chakra. The Chakra. Lord, right? We say, ha, Vishnu came, he has his Darshana Chakra.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yeah. We all dress up, we comb our hair, we put tilak. So in dance, we put a tilak, a long one or a round one. We all comb their hair. In dances, we braid, the women braid their hair. The men wear a nice angavastra. So the walking of the man and the gait of the female. See? So all this is portrayed in a very, very graceful way and also in a very majestic way. And who is the personification, who is the embodiment of, who personifies Natya is Nataraja himself.
Uh, it's very, I won't say funny, it's very serendipitous in a manner because my next two questions to you were actually this that how important are expressions, which you just personified right now, and where do we find Lord Shiv in this cosmic dance of ours? So you just answered both of them in a go. So I was just about to ask you these two things how important are expressions, because I think for a layman like me, when we first view Bharatanatyam, it is the grace and the expressions which captures our attention. Then you can, if you can appreciate the beauty of it, then you can go into all of those things. But that is the first part of it. Now, ma'am,
Great. Then also, let me tell you something more about Nataraja.
yeah,
I'm taking this from my own articles that I had written. How the dance of Nataraja is a dance of infinity, unity, and inclusivity. So if you see the iconography of Nataraja, you will first see that the Divine Lord dances within a circular ring, which is
yeah,
called the Prabha Mandala. It indicates a cycle of life, birth, rebirth, and the continuity. Okay. Now, Nataraja's face. You all say, wash the face. Go and wash the face. Dances with the face. Is this so difficult to understand?
no, ma'am, it isn't.
So, the face of Nataraja is very serene. It's full of knowledge. He holds the Damaru. Now, this Damaru represents a space and sound because the empty space that is enclosed in the Damaru generates sound. So, this Damaru, this sound, the empty space, it symbolizes the element Akasha. We all can see Akasha. Then, the tresses of Nataraja, the Jata. The Jata of Nataraja, you see, it's flying out. Why does it fly out? Because of air, because of Vayu. So we all know, we all experience Vayu every moment. Without Vayu, we cannot survive.
Survival. Yeah.
Now, in the left hand, he represents Agni, fire. Okay. Then the water that flows from his water signifies the life-giving Ganga. Okay, Apaha. Then his majestic form, his whole form represents Earth Prithvi. You will see this dwarfish demon, right? This demon at the feet of the Lord is not some Ashura, some Ashura. It again represents a person's trap in the worldly existence. So if you see, Nataraja doesn't kill it. He's
Okay.
dancing on it. He's stamping on it because it shows he's total in control of all the trappings, all the confusion,
Wow.
all the delusion that goes on in a human mind, which is represented by that apasmara demon. The Lord is in control. So when you are control of things,
You're
you
majestic.
yeah, you dance. You are dancing within. There is a joy within.
Wow. Such a beautiful description of human emotions. In fact, I love reading about psychology. It's like it's my biggest thing. I really like to understand how human mind works because I think at the end of the day, it's one of the most powerful things that goes across. And what you have described right now, it's majestic. That's all I can say. And I could have
So,
never imagined, ma'am.
so we in our samskara, we worship these five elements. Right? Or even dance. When we begin our dance, we do. We start only like this. Takkadimmi, takkachunnu, takkadimmi, takkachunnu. We touch the floor. That means we can do this and then we get up. So it means, oh, goddess mother, please pardon me for stamping on you, but give me the strength.
Yeah.
Samudra.
Every posture that you're describing has a purpose for itself. Yeah.
So how the whole mind and the body gets tuned in the path towards divinity. That is the foundation, and that is the path of every performing art of our civilization.
Wow, that was a very beautiful. I mean, for a layman like me, I could have never imagined this. Now I won't ever forget. Now this is very important, and since I would never forget the iconography of the majestic Nataraj statue, the Nataraj iconography. I will never forget it because now I understand what it all stands for just through the way that you explained it.
And Nataraja is also in the entrance of European Organization for Nuclear Research called as CERN.
Sun,
CERN.
yes, yeah. Sun has this Nataraj, right? But this is, I mean, great. I now understand it why the Natyams have survived across centuries because they're so effective, so aesthetic, and yet so important as well to convey those values. So, and now I totally get it. You have just exemplified it. For me as an individual, it's great. And ma'am, I was just researching about this as well that you have a project ongoing that you have described it as your life mission called Geetanatyam. So how did you think of, merging the great teachings of Gita into, these natyams? I mean, what is the inspiration behind it?
So just now we spoke about how the Natya is personified by Nataraja. That's why he's called Nataraja, the king of Natya, Raja Nataraja. Geeta, who doesn't like music, right? Everybody likes music. That too, if it is very delightful and if the subject matter is you, who interests you in the whole world the most? It's Arun, right?
Yeah,
For
definitely.
for
Yes,
everybody,
yes.
the
Yeah, yeah, I
maximum
get it.
interest they have is when it is about themselves.
Yeah.
So, when the song is about them, what can be more delightful, right? And this song is played by Krishna. Bhagavad Geeta, it is called a song because it is pleasing and it is delightful. It is most pleasing and most delightful because it talks about each individual. Bhagavad Gita is a manual for a wondrous way of life for the humanity. If you see in our culture, in our samskara, for everything, the intent is well being of humanity. It respects the happiness of every person and understands that the freedom and happiness is being sought by every person. So the path is laid out, the road map is given. How does one lead one's life? How does one think? How does one behave? How does one deal with problems? And imagine Krishna telling this to Arjuna at the most lowest time of Arjuna's life, in the battlefield. So Arjuna is a reflection of all of us. We seek guidance only when we are in trouble. Until then, we think, it is all only because of me that I am successful. Yes, I'm fine. I think I'm happy right now. I don't have to really spend time in reading the Gita or reading the Ramayana or Mahabharata or going to temple or doing something. I'm fine. No, okay, yeah. When I become 80-year-old, 90-year-old, then I will get into all this. That's a tendency, general tendency. Then there are some who understand that it is a treasure trove and want to know what it is. So Gita talks about how can one lead a life to make it more meaningful and to make it happy. In fact, all itihasas also talk about this. Bhagavad Gita can has a message for the entire humanity. So does Ramayana. Bhagavad Gita comes is a part of the Mahabharata. It comes in the sixth section called the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata poem. Did you know that Mahabharata is the world's longest poem?
Yeah.
It's the world's longest poem.
I think it was called Jaya first, Jay or Jaya first. Yeah. I
Yeah,
actually love Mahabharat, ma'am. I love reading about it, and
Jaya is
it gives
beginning.
it's very good. It has everything, I guess.
From itihasas, we learn what to do, what not to do. Both we learn. So who it benefits whom?
Us
We are the greatest
benefactors.
impactor of whatever the wisdom. So on one hand there is Natya, on the other hand it is Gita. I brought both together saying Geetanatyam. That means through the Natya of Nataraja, I present the wisdom of the Gita. And both of them, both Bhagavad Gita and Bharatanatyam, are very strong pillars of our Bharatiya civilization. So there is not only Natya, but there is Sangeeta, there is mudras, there are movements, there is mime, there is melody, there is narration, there is story. Everything comes together. So it's not that Bhagavad Gita is not being taught or not being talked about by anybody. So there are so many great people who keep talking about Bhagavad Gita, who keep guiding us in the light of that knowledge. This is because I love dance, I love Natya. This is what I know. I don't know other things. Through this, I thought, why shouldn't I present the wisdom of living through Natya? The uniqueness of this is I go chapter wise. So I take the essence of every chapter and present it in Natya. Many artists have taken verses from the Bhagavad Gita and performed. Here I take it chapter wise. I've completed chapter 1. Chapter 2 is seeing its completion soon. Chapter 1 has 47 verses. I've taken about 15 to 18 verses from there and built an insight, or I have built a small story around it. For example, I start with an invocation to Krishna. I sing his glory. Hey, protector of cows. O Krishna, who steals others' hearts, who rides on Garuda, Vahana, who has the Shank and Chakra, who is in a reclining form. To that Krishna, my salutations. Generally, we all look upon we all look upon our mothers as a source of understanding and compassion. The Vedas are given that status of a mother, the Shruti. So I say a prayer to Mother Goddess Bhagavad Gita, which comes as a Dhyana sloka. Then I say how mind is so powerful. At the same time, it is always on crossroads. Do I do this? Do I do that? Should I sing? Should I dance? Should I eat? Should I sleep? Should I talk or should I be quiet? Should I wear this? Should I wear that? All the time the mind has too many choices. And life means decisions. So the mind has to be intelligent enough to make the right decision. It is always confused. Emotions go up and down, high and low. And on top of that, life keeps knocking us. Just knock that knock. Then we say, Arey Baba, enough of knocks. Ho gaya, ho gaya. So where is the end? Right? This is like a cycle. How does one put an end to it? Bhagavad Geeta Kinchitadita. Shankaracharya sings. Adi Shankaracharya sings. Even if you know a little bit of Bhagavad Gita, your life is made. So read the Gita. So I start reading the Gita, and what made me so joyous, what stunned me was Bhagavad Gita begins with the word dharma. Dharma is the foundation of our living. For everything that we see, whether it is artha, all security, wealth, whether it is kama, the pleasures, the enjoyment, artha, dharma, artha, kama,
Moksha.
moksha. Dharma is the base. It begins with the word dharma. Then in first chapter, uh, it is sometimes understood that in first chapter it is only Arjuna's grief. It's not only Arjuna's grief. He gives many logical reasons for not fighting. He feels he feels for the protection of men. He feels for the protection of women. He says if women are not protected and if when men die, then the the kula dharma, the lineage of the family is all destroyed. So along with it, the practices are all destroyed. Everything is shattered, and then the women is unprotected means she this it leads to a lot of confusion in the society. So, oh Krishna, I don't want to kill. Then it also brings in Hanuman. Hanuman is in the flag of Arjuna as a sign
Yes.
of victory. Then it also talks about crimes of Duryodhana. He's an Atatai. Why is he an Atatai? Because he does the following crimes, the 6 crimes of setting another's house on fire, of poisoning another person, of killing an unarmed person, robbing others' wealth, usurping others' land, treating a woman badly. All these are crimes. So he's an Atatai. So it also lays the context. You said, right? Everything has a context. So it lays a context for the Upadesha of Krishna. And Krishna is a Jagat Guru. See, until the first chapter, he is a cousin of Krishna, of Arjuna. He's a cousin of, he's a charioteer. And Arjuna looks at him only as a friend, they are two best friends. Then just from second chapter when Arjuna says, I really don't know what to do. You please teach me. Then Krishna becomes the Jagat Guru and Arjuna becomes the student. So Arjuna represents us and Bhagavan's teaching represents the Guru. That
Great.
is the vision of Geetanatyam. Geetanatyam is not for only my own performance. I'm developing it as a course material so that all education and cultural institutions can refer it, they learn it, and they spread it. And it is chapter wise. It took me 2 years to bring out chapter one, and then 6 months for chapter two. Also, it is based on Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati's teaching. So it's not that I imagine. No, that Guru Parampara is protected. The kalacharam of our civilization is given, and the spiritual wisdom is put in an enjoyable way.
I get the point, ma'am, and I now get why it's so necessary even to have these beautiful messages in such forms. It's very necessary now. I mean, I get the whole crux of it because I think now, as you explained, once you experience it, then only you can know the nectar beneath it, I guess. Like just even you even telling me about Natraj and about other things, it definitely exemplifies the utility. And as you would see, the time it has flown like anything. So I always felt short of time whenever these conversations are there because there's so much to say. But thanks a lot, ma'am, for explaining these concepts in such a beautiful manner. It has been a pleasure just to uh, understand these deep metaphysical concepts of our civilization. So that's very great, ma'am.
I have a question. So,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
your in so many years, what are the culture aspects you have been exposed to, or what do you think about our culture?
I find it great actually. My dad was in the Air Force, so that was a great opportunity for me to travel. Like my pedigree has been throughout India. So like I cannot identify with the place. I really identify with the whole of the land because I've grown up with people from different parts of the country, stayed in different parts of the country. One thing that has really one thing that really stands out for me is the kind of thread that we have this in this country, sort of an invisible thread. Like people living in such distant parts with, even if you look at two different geographical regions, the way we marry, even the basic things, they differ by a lot. I mean, there are so many beautiful variations in how one gets wedded in, let's say, Bengal or in Tamil Nadu or in my state, Uttarakhand. But still, we have some sort of an invisible thread connecting us all. Something that is common that cannot be described. Obviously, it cannot be the language. We have so many languages. Like in 14 kilometers, the language changes. Yes, we have so many different religions, so many. Everything is so nuanced, yet everything is so common. So that is the most beautiful thing that I have observed, by traveling. I travel a lot, as I was telling you, and by talking to people. So that is the best part.
Okay, so
Thanks
I
a
hope.
lot for coming on the show, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Arunji. Thank you for your kind invitation, and I hope that all of us, all of us deserve the happiness and the